Ha ha. Hey there. Woo-wee. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cookie B. As you know, I'm Cookie B, and it is 4:59. At 4:59, I come on just a little early to give y'all time to chime in, get your drink, get set up because we got a good show today. Now, I'm shuffling the cards because I know in any minute it's going to be 5 o'clock. And then I'm going to play my theme music that was so graciously gifted to me by Mark, childhood friend Mark Perry. So I'm thankful. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week thus far. I know tomorrow is a holiday. Many of you do not have to go to work. So we're going to talk about some stuff. So now it says it's 5 o'clock, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Come on now.
With Cookie B, we can talk about anything. Conversations with Cookie B, we'll talk about everything, my baby. Ooh, yeah, everything.
Hey there. You know I'm saying it again. All right, let's get this party started. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cookie B. Hey, Kelly. Hey, D-Lo. Hey, Nana. Now, you know, I know we're going into the weekend, so let's start with something positive. Yeah, I know I'm on with another unit, but I wanted my gray back. You know, I was looking like Benjamin Button, so they told me, but I wanted my gray back. So let's go ahead and Star. What card are we going to pull? This one popped out to me. Growth. Accept the lesson. When things don't go our way, something more important to be, growth of our soul is in the works. Growth. Accept the lesson. When things don't go our way, something more important to the growth of our soul is in works. I'm going to read that again. Growth. Accept the lesson. When things don't go our way, something more important to the growth of our soul is at work. So that's what we're going to go into this weekend with, because I know it is the holiday weekend. Happy 4th of July. So they say happy 4th of July. I know that, like I said, by the 4th of July being on a Saturday, many of you are off tomorrow. If you are employed, so you'll be off tomorrow. I don't know. I think probably banks will be closed because they'll be celebrating it. But let's talk about today's celebrity birthdays. S.A.W. Sawati. Sawati. I don't know how you say that, Kana. S.A.W.E.E.T.I.E. She was born Diamante Quavina Valentine Harper in Hayward, California. She was born today. Vince Staples, he was also born in Compton, California. He's a critically acclaimed West Coast rapper. Ahmad Jamal, born July 2nd, 1930. He passed away April 16th, 2023. He was one of the most influential jazz pianists of the 20th century. He is highly stylized for, it's Sweetie. Okay then, Sweetie. Yeah. Her birthday's today, as well as Ahmad Jamal. I want to also say today, I learned also was Medgar Evers' birthday. He was born in 1925, as well as Thurgood Marshall, who was born in 1908. Hey, Angie. Today in Black History. Ho ho. July 2nd is a monumental date in Black history marked primarily by the signing of the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the birth of two foundational civil rights leaders. That would be Thurgood Marshall and Medgar Evers. Also, 1964, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law with President Lyndon B. Johnson, and well as 1839, the Amistad Rebellion enslaved Africans abroad enslaved Africans aboard the Cuban schooner Amistad rose up against their captors, killing the captain and seizing control of the ship. So that is this week in Black history, as well as today's celebrity Black birthdays. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Hey, Calvin, boy, let me tell you. Calvin, we talked about you in a good way. We enjoyed your conversation. I'm telling you, afterwards, there were text messages that I received, as well as, people just saying, oh my gosh, they're very happy for you. Let me refresh this right here. They're very happy for you and everything. So I'm very glad. I know one day we are going to get the missus on here, because that date of July 18th is coming up real. It's coming up. Why is this not closing up? It's coming up real soon. So I know that, you'll be a married man. You'll be a married man. All right. Now, on Tuesday, we talked about relationships, especially Calvin's relationship. But a lot of us had questions. A lot of us also, and I'm not really, no statement shirt today. I want to let y'all know too, I'm going to continue what I was saying, but I've been baking since 7:00 this morning, getting these orders out. I'm baking for the weekend because it is the holiday weekend. So I've been baking my buntlets. As you know, the other day I was baking my cookies, as well as I got some cake orders in at the last minute where people saying, hey, I saw your post. I forgot all about you, but I need a cake. So I was baking all day today till about 2:00, just up doing, and I love it. It is therapy for me. So I love the baking, and I will be delivering those cakes. So no statement shirt today, because after this, I need to relax. So I'm going to go and have a smoke. Also, one of my good girlfriends, I'm going to go up there. Her and I are going to probably meet and chat and all that stuff, as well as my drink today is the blueberry lemonade by Simply Lemonade. Oh, that was good. Yes, Calvin. Thank you. So I'm waiting on, excuse me, you know who I'm waiting on. Waiting on Will to get on in here, because on Tuesday, we also talked about, towards the end of the show, and you can always go back and watch it, empty nesting. Now, Calvin gave us a synopsis of what's going on in his life, because it is him, 65 years old, with his 31-year-old bride. Yes, I can drink. His 31-year-old bride to be, that will be coming up soon, as well as she has a 5-year-old son. And as we were conversating, we got to the point where we were talking about empty nesting. Now, mind you, with Calvin being 65 and having his kids being grown, he has grandchildren. So there was some comments in the section also talking about, hey, make sure you don't start, being a father figure. And as well as I posted what they call those little video shorts on TikTok. And in posting those on TikTok, a lot of people also had questions, because they was like, 31 and 65, do they have anything to talk about? That's a big age gap and blah, blah, blah. What popped in my mind was something that happened, what I've heard about a long time ago, which they call May-December relationships. Remember those May-December relationships where the man was significantly older and all that? But we are living in a different day and age right now. Another one of the questions that was on my TikTok, I think somebody asked, was, oh my gosh, I should have wrote it down. They had questions, but a lot of people enjoyed the content. Like I said, I cannot thank you enough, Calvin, for being open and honest and sharing with us your relationship. But towards the end of the conversation, we got to talking about empty nesters. Now, as you know, our guy Wisdom Will, as well as Mark Perry, they were speaking on what happens when the children leave your home. So empty nesters. So Will had some questions, because he was like, hey, I got questions. He wants to know. Now, we are going to continue this conversation, but I wanted to look it up, because at one point in my life, I thought I was going to be an empty nester. And I think I was only an empty nester for a couple of months. It wasn't even a year. My daughter went away to school. I think, yeah, when she went away to school, I think that may have been 1 year. So she was 18 and she went away for a year and a half, and then she came back because, she didn't like it. School was not for her, as well as she said she was having, kind of like anxiety because she's the only child. So she wanted to be more or less back with her mom. Okay. Second, I thought I was going to be an empty nester when my daughter, got a boyfriend, she, got pregnant, and I'm like, okay, y'all go do what y'all gonna do, but they're back in my home. I love my grandchildren to death, but I have yet to experience the empty nesting. So hopefully if the economy gets better or whatever she decides to do, she'll be able to say, hey, Mom, I bought my first home and blah, blah, blah. But I told you guys also, well, I'm sorry, I hate saying I told you. I advised you guys also, I learned that most people who are buying their first home are like 50-something years old. 40-something years old. I'm sorry. And that's a damn shame to me. But that's okay. We're not even going to talk about that. But then too, I know that we have most of my audience that you guys are watching have grown kids, are empty nesters. So Will, he is the head of his marriage ministry, and he was like, hey, I got questions on empty nesters. Now, back some months ago, we had Kelly and Jay. They've been married over 31 years, and they were on, and their children are grown and out of the home now. And I think Alex, it's very quiet. What's very quiet? It's very quiet. What do you mean it's very quiet, Blue? Hey, Blue, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. Well, I think my daughter would have told me if you guys couldn't hear me. I think my mic is on. Yeah, it's on. Okay. I know that. Okay, thank you, Kanai. I know that they were talking about how their kids are grown, and with their kids being grown, they're empty nesters. And I thank them, Kelly and Jay. I really do appreciate it. And thank you guys for being on my show. Your sound is fine for me. Oh, okay. Empty nesters. You said it's very quiet. Oh, when being an empty nester is very quiet. Okay, I apologize, Blue. I didn't understand what you were saying. Yes, it can be very quiet. Thank you, Jay. It can be very quiet, but also becoming an empty nester is something that people gear towards as they get older. Now, I know my girlfriend, D-Lo, is on here. She was once married. Unfortunately, her significant other husband passed away, but her children are grown also. She is an quote unquote empty nester. But I wanted to look up this word for you guys because I don't like too many statistics. Jay says it's too quiet for him. I don't like kind of statistics because sometimes I like to know who did they. Y'all know, remember that show, The Survey Says. I want to know who did they survey and where did they poll these people, or who did they poll? And is that a representation of me? So when I Googled the word, how many empty nesters are in households in the United States? It says there are an estimated 20.9 million empty nester households in the U.S. And the housing sector generally classifies these adults as age 55 and up and older with no children living at home, but they're often occupying homes with at least 2 extra bedrooms. They really got detail with that. Now, empty nesters really are empty nester baby boomers own nearly 28% of the nation's large homes, which means it's 3 bedrooms or more, taking up double the share of housing compared to millennial families with children. That's 14%. Now, despite the high number of large homes they occupy, many empty nesters are choosing to stay put rather than downsize due to low interest mortgage rates and the lack of smaller home options availability. So, empty nesters are, not really prevalent nowadays because we are also having our parents move back in the home with us. D-Lo says, not any longer. The oldest and the youngest are back. They're back in your home. Oh, D-Lo. All right, then. I understand. I understand. Now, I know that as I was growing up, I could not wait. Lord knows I could not wait to get out of my parents' house. And then when I did, even when I went away to college, I said to myself that I would never go back to their home, because at my age, when I came home at 21, came home from Northern because of the racial stuff. And then I finished up at Chicago State. My mother was more or less like, you're at the age, hey, Tammy, you're at the age where, you know, I can go out. And my father was trying to tell me, you know, you got to be in the house at 12 o'clock. And I'm saying to myself, I'm 21 years old. Who says I'm going to be in the house at 12 o'clock at night? So my parents owned property. So I moved into their 18-unit building and had my own apartment. So empty nesting, hey, Coco, empty nesting for my parents, when I think about that, happened, I think, when I went away to college. But still, I have a younger brother who lived in the basement. Go figure. So I don't think my parents were ever really empty nesters. My parents always had somebody in their house. Always had somebody in their house. And back then, I don't know if it's the generation or anything like that, but back then we wonder, you know, was that the thing? Because my father, as you guys know, is a baby out of 17. So whenever his nephews, who were just, some of them was just as old as he was at that time, whenever they came up from Mississippi and they wanted to get started, his household was one of the households where they got started at. Meaning that I'm going to go live. Yeah. And then Kanai, right. Yep. And Uncle Buddy lived in the basement. So I don't think my mother's brother, I'm going to get to that story too. But when he moved up, when they would come, you know, move up from, Mississippi, they always came and looked at Uncle T's house. They came to Uncle T's house, and then they wound up staying until they got situated, and then they eventually moved out. My uncle, Uncle Buddy, which is my mother's brother, who was a veteran. Thank you for that. She had to find him because he, had some issues going on with PTSD. He also had a avid, drinking problem, but he was more or less sleeping on the streets, and somebody got word of it, told my mom, and my mom went and got him. Yeah, Mr. Brown Eyes. You're right. My uncle Buddy had those pretty brown eyes. So when he came, she found him on the street. And when her finding him on the street living, she talked to my father about it, and he moved into the basement. Really, he only needed was help. Now, my mama helped him get his VA benefits, you know, get him in the hospital, you know, get him hospital benefits, get him back on his feet. That's something my mother did for him. And then, because my father was a contractor with his own business, my Uncle Buddy started working with my daddy. So he got a step back up, because by him being down, that's all he was doing in the street was drinking alcohol, you know, trying to bum money off people and stuff like that, when he actually had his own money. So when it comes to empty nesting, my parents, I don't think they ever had an empty nest, and that's okay. I think they were okay with that. But when it comes to empty nesting, I'm waiting on Will to come on in here because he had questions. Now, I also have a lot of you guys, because Tammy, I know you became an empty nester really early, because your daughter, my God, Ashley, is such a inspiration and a go-getter, because she's, you know, always wanted to be on her own. When she finally moved out, I remember that when she moved out, she got her own townhouse. She works, you know, a great job, started doing hair, you know, doing. So I think then, Tammy, if I'm telling your story right, and please forgive me if you don't want me to tell it, please let me know. You know, your mom is now up in age where we have to take care of our parents. And with a lot of things that comes with, they're very independent, but then they lose their independence, meaning that life happens, you know, be it them getting sick. Like my mom, when she got cancer, she was just there with my dad. Remember, my dad had a brain injury. So it was just them two in the household. You know, I think my brother under me, he was living with a woman at that time and all that stuff. So it gets hard. You know, I've already beat myself up about not being there for that, but it's okay. But then too, when our parents get older, we wind up taking care of them. Kelly, I know that you and Jay are doing the same for your father, meaning that we can't, help what happens when it comes to growing older, getting older, age and all that stuff. You don't want them in a home. You don't want, anybody else taking care of them because you can take care of them better. So when it comes to that, empty nesting can be lonely. As some of you guys have put in the comments, quiet because you have your home, but then also it can be a blessing. Jay says they always have a place to come back to reset if circumstances call for it. I stress reset. You're right. I understand that. Tammy says, yes, my child is very independent. Thank you, Lord. Yes, my mom is getting older and needs assistance. I had to take her to the dental appointment today. Yes, because the nest can be empty. And when you think of this in, what do you call those terms? Metaphoric terms where, you kick, the early bird, you kick them out the nest because that's what mother birds do. You kick them out the nest and then they come back. All right. So I think I just saw Will click on here. There we go. All right, Will, we've been talking, but I know you had questions because you wanted to talk about empty nest. You've heard so far, Will. I don't know how much you've heard so far because I even gave the quote unquote Webster definition of empty nesting. And it seems to be a lot of us out there. Hey, Will.
What's going on?
You got the best hand. If I had your hand, I'd cut, man, off.
Man, I don't want that hand. I'm trying to get like yours. But, man, I would just, you kick them out. They can't come back. Was never said to any of us. So we know home is home. Wherever you lay them foundational roots, that's home. But I like what she said. I like what she said. For resetting, not re-resting. It's a difference.
Jay said that for reset. Now, I always told my daughter that. I said, no matter, even when she moved to Arkansas, I said, this will always be home. This will always be home. I don't know how literally she took that.
I mean, that's mama's baby. Of course it's always going to be home.
I know I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on something to pop up in the chat of her saying something, and I know she's downstairs, and he is too. But I was just thinking, like, hey, when I've always lived for that. Mom, guess what? I bought a house. Mom, guess what? I got my first car. Oh, here she go. Here you go. You be needing me. My daughter said, you be needing me. You know what? It's only because you're here. Because if you wasn't here, I'd figure it out. But then sometimes it's easy to say, Kanai, can you help me with this? Kanai, can you help me with that? Because they're here. If she wasn't here, you know what? I became dependent. Let me say that. I did become dependent because I'm like, well, she's here, so I can just ask her. But you had questions, Will. So let's get with these questions you had about empty nesting. Because you sound like, because I think your son is 15. How old is your son?
So my son is 15 and my youngest daughter is 14.
Yeah.
But now I have one that
you're not gonna do empty nesting no time soon.
Man, I'm trying to push them out now. College, I'm on that college push. Like, we're gonna graduate early, we're gonna get out of here. But no, for real, I have one that lived in the house, married, grandbaby coming in October.
Congratulations.
It bothered me as a dad. And mind you, when I say she lives a rock throw away, she lived and she bought in the same similar community as us. So she's less than a mile away from us, mile and a half at best. But it's something about when she comes over that you realize this person doesn't live here anymore. But this is home. But when she's here, it's home.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? So, she come in the house, they don't knock. They come in like they live here, go in the refrigerator. I'm upstairs, go in the refrigerator, eat. Like if daddy barbecues, she told me as she's eating my food at my table, I said, what are you doing? You don't live here. She said, it is my birthright. I didn't have a response for that. Like, she right. Nobody else can come and do that. So she's right.
It is her birthright. Now, Nana says, you're going to have to take out your own trash.
No, I still got.
No, she talking about me. I would have to take out my own trash if she wasn't hearing them. She talking about the comment you made about taking out the trash, and Tammy says, right. Now you have to zip her dress up when she goes out. Let me tell you something. I go out with the dress unzipped and will get to the club and say, Lexi, get this right here. Zip this up. When I get there, I get in the car and I'll be like this, Lord have mercy. Or I get the hanger. I done got slick. I get a hanger and I go ahead and fix the dress. But it's okay because I'm grateful that my grandchildren are here. Don't get me wrong about that. But empty nesting, I'm still longing for that. They finna come over Grandma Meemaw's house. You know. Sometimes you can love them from afar. Or I want her to call and say, Mom, he trying to come over there. And I'll be like this, girl, bring him home. And I think I only do that because that's how my mom did me. Because I didn't push my child off on my parents. My mother would have to call for my child. She called for my child. She the main one. Kanai, I needed you. Kanai, you telling family business. Don't do that.
So
Don't do that.
there's, and again, I'm not trying to get all gospel on you, but
Go
there's
ahead.
a sermon by Reverend Clay Evans,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called "The Eagle Stirs the Nest." And in that story, my father is the one that introduced it to me, and I called it, got it. There was no subliminal messages. I understood what he was saying, but he said a eagle will have a male eagle in there, and other eagles in there, and they're babies, and when they're born, the mother and father eagle, and this is true, they will go and grab the softest material they can find, and they will pad the nest so that it's extremely comfortable. But as
Mm-hmm.
those babies get bigger and they refuse to really fly and they refuse to do some certain things, the father eagle will start removing some of the softness so that the nest is poking them a little bit and the nest is prodding them and it's not as comfortable to eventually they get out the nest.
Oh,
And so
that's a sermon?
that's in the sermon. I promise you. Look it up. Reverend Clay Evans called Eagle Stirs the Nest.
Okay.
Um, but it's one of those where I understood that as a younger black male what my father was saying, because your home is comfortable because your parents have provided that. Most homes, not all, I get it, but it's comfortable because you're not paying any bills, right? Every time you open the refrigerator, something new is in there and you're eating it, right? The water's on, the light's on, everything is good and it's comfortable. And so what's your incentive to go out into the world and provide your own? And so sometimes we have to make our kids a little uncomfortable so that they
Hmm.
go and get that independence. So when they're like, man, why are you making my curfew 10 o'clock at night? Because that's the rule of the house, right? So
Uh-huh.
you like come in at midnight, that whole gentle parenting thing, which I don't think works. But that being said, when you make it uncomfortable, they tend to go and want to pursue their comfort and create their comfort. Now, what's funny is the kids will say, I'm trying to think my daughter said, well, why do I have to wash all the dishes, right? Mind you, we
Mm-hmm.
got a dishwasher. Why do I have to, sweep them off the floor? My son, why? And I said, well, when you get your own, do you think you don't have to do dishes anymore? Do you think you don't have to sweep the floor? Do you think that garbage is going to take itself out? So again, the minimum you can contribute are these things. So I say when you talk about empty nester, and mind you, I haven't experienced it yet, but one of them leaving home, and then the second one left home. She in Texas. Yeah, it hit a little bit different when they're not around because now you wonder, hey, everything okay? Are you eating okay? Are you doing all right? Because again, that's the babies. That's how I look at it.
Agreed. Well, I can tell you that even when I Googled it, the eagle stirs the nest. It's a phrase that originates from a metaphor in the Bible, Deuteronomy 32:11,
Yep.
describing how parent eagles force their young to leave the comfort of the nest. So I know that, what you're saying is quote unquote, I will say this gospel because that's what happened. But I know that Kat says that was that was my grandmother's favorite sermon by Reverend Evans. And then Kat says, will my son never made his curfew at the 9:30 p.m. If he has to move back home, his curfew is 9:30 p.m.
We don't
Well,
make it
wait,
uncomfortable.
wait. How old is Jesus, why can't I think of your son's name, Cat? Because he married now with kids, so I don't think he ever coming back home. But we know that sometimes things happen. Because that
Man,
would
they
be
will
him,
come
his
back
wife, and
with the
everybody
kids
trying to come
and
back up in there.
right, right.
My earring just fell out, keep falling off. But when we talk about even that, yeah, he 42. Sean, yeah, I couldn't think of Sean's name for nothing, but Sean is 42 years old. Sean ain't coming back home, and you ain't finna make he might. Well, you know what? That may be something we have to talk about on another show. That may be something we need to talk about on another show. Now, Kelly and Jay, I know you guys are listening or listening. Dolores says, I told my son that I loved him and valued our relationship. Howsoever, 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 if he was unhappy with the rules of my house, I would happily buy a one-way ticket to the city of his choice. Mm. All right. Cat says them kids got their own mama. And Cat says, yeah, shit happens. So if he has to come back, that is something. Now, when you have these discussions of empty nesting, I want to ask those of you that are in the chat, when you bring them together or when they're trying to come back, is that a family discussion? Like, do you have to, does the does one, I know sometimes, especially in my household, one child always favors one of the parents. Like, I could always talk to my mama. Of course, she gonna tell my daddy, but I would be, Mom, such and such, such and such. So when these situations happen, I want to ask Kelly and Jay, because I think Yasmin came back for a little while. Did she say, I need to talk to both of y'all? Or did she say, Daddy, I got a question? Is she a daddy's girl? Or what happened when they did have to come back? And like you said, Jay, you allow her to come back to reset. She's not going to be there for long, but you allowed them to come back and reset. I want to know, how does that conversation come about? So if you're in the chat, I want to know how that conversation comes about, because, my daughter ain't nobody else to ask but me. Her father lives in Chicago. So, the only person she could say was, well, Mama, I want to come back home. Or she didn't say, can I come back home? She just said, Mama, I want to come back home. And I just said, okay. Now, I think I was softer because she's a girl. And I don't want my child out here in these streets, as well as this is Las Vegas. So I didn't want her to be up on the pole. I didn't want her to try to go make no fast money to do anything. So I wanted to keep a roof over her head. So that was
Yeah, don't
easier
do
for her
nothing
because it was
strange
just
for a
me.
little bit of change.
Yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
that.
Because then they become real grown then. And I think that then they just like, oh, well, I ain't got no money. What can I do? And then here come Mr. Olivia the slave, got distracted on her way to grandmother's house. And I'd be like, no, we ain't gonna do that. Kat says, my daughter wants to come back. Al and I discussed it and we said no. Okay. So it was a discussion, and the family, and then that's not Al's child. So we know that he accepts her as his own. So when it comes to questions like that, I just wondered, like, is it a conversation that both of you have, or does one have and say, baby, that night y'all come home and say, baby, I need to talk to you about our child, because this situation happens. Now I know it happens more likely than often, because times is hard out here. And jobs are not as lucrative as they are, but there comes a time when these empty nesters may need to come back home. They may need to come back home. Now, I know that when I was searching for my house here in Vegas, there was a couple of them that had, they call them mother-in-law suites. It was a casita. And I'm thinking, I don't need that. I think I should have bought that other house, because that's where they could be, in the casita, in the mother-in-law suite, or still on the property, but in a different location. You know what I mean? Because then
The
I could
garage
still
with a
have my.
bathroom, I got you.
You said what?
The garage with the bathroom, got you.
Yeah. Because then I could, if I wanted to have company, stuff like that, I could still have my own privacy. I think. Because it does become invasive. Let me say that because there are times when I'm in the bathroom and C3 just walks on in, and I'm like, dude, I'm on the toilet.
That's
Mima, Mima.
that's the best time to talk. It's funny you said something like which parent would you go to, and if I had to answer that, all my kids, all of them, are mama's baby.
Oh, okay.
All of them. Like I don't understand it. Don't get me wrong. We all have our special bonds with all of them.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, they gonna go to mama about everything. It don't matter what it is. They going to mama about everything. Cause mama say yes a lot. I don't think she know no in her vocabulary. Her no is like a small yes versus daddy no. So
It could be the coffee she drink. It just give her she don't know no. She just up on that caffeine like, yeah, but just go ahead. Yeah.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
I think I've said no so many times that they look at me and like, hey, how you doing? No, no.
Now, Jay says, now she asked me first, knowing good and well it was okay. I'm the go-to for our kids when there are answers needed for tough questions.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Now, I know that those can be uncomfortable questions because sorry, I'm looking at my notes that I took. I know those can be uncomfortable questions because right now I know that um people are what's today? Today, yeah. They're about to really go back to school because you have children that are in college, they come home, but then they go back. And that's totally different. Wait, I'm sorry. Jay says if it's a life impacting injury, they're usually hit me up for my wisdom. Oh, okay. All right. That's good. That's good. That's good that you have that. I'm glad, especially on my platform. I'm so glad that you guys have open relationships with the children. I'm so glad of that because I can tell how we were all raised. I'm glad we have these open relationships with our children. But when it comes to empty nesting, like I said, it's difficult, I think, now because I think some more and more people are not going to college. More and more children are not going to college, despite all the proms pictures we see and all the trunk parties that'll probably be coming up in August. I'm glad, but I'm sad about it because I want more of our children to go away and experience life a little bit, college, other friends, and come on back and tell us about it.
Well,
What it's
it's
like out there.
the next level of life, right? It's the next level of evolution for them. You
That's
know,
a good
it,
way to put it.
Yeah, 18 to 24 is the most impactful time in any person's life. And if you reflect back, 18 to 24 is 18 is when you're usually out of high school and you're starting to try to figure out your way, whether it's the
Mhm.
military, whether it's working, but that's when you start developing your independence. 24 is the age usually when you start going into the marriage thought process or the availability of marriage as well. So now you start thinking about your career more. You start thinking about where your money's going to go. Because again, when you hear somebody's been on the job for 20 years, 40 years, they usually start hitting that job in their 20s, and that's what develops into that long term. So investing things of that nature. The other
Now,
thing
my
I want
daughter,
to say too is
go ahead.
I think it's funny because I know when one of our kids messed up, and my wife and I talking, we always start the same way. Let me tell you what your child did. Because then it's your child. Now, when they do something good, oh yeah, that's my baby. He did what he was supposed to do. Now he ain't take out the garbage. Look, your child didn't take out the garbage again. I don't know what's wrong with him. He get it from your side of the family. I don't know what's going on.
Now that's funny because Kat says it's also hard because Cookie, our apartments were 300 to 600 a month for rent. Now it's 18 to $2,500. Totally agree. You guys know
Hold
I've
on.
always
Catherine
been on
told on
that
herself.
soapbox.
She got the 300 to 600. She was living over there in Lakeshore Drive. She wasn't living in the hood. She was on Lakeshore Drive.
Let me tell you, I lived in my parents' 18-unit building and rent for one bedroom. One bedroom was $400. The two bedrooms was 500, and I think it was only three of them in there they charged $600 a month. Back then we was living, but back then too, gas was $89 a gallon. So I totally understand because times have changed. Things are so different where I think it's more accepting now when you just like, hey, I
They
know you've been
can.
working this job.
Yeah, they can. They can't make,
They can't
honestly, they
do it.
can't make it. If you look at Vegas, house prices over the last 10 years have went up 65%. The same homes that were $300,000 10 years ago are now sitting anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000. Now, mind you, as a person that's a homeowner and we bought our home before the craziness, yeah, it doubled in value and that's great. But now
Yeah.
selling it and then trying to find something of equivalent value is like trying to pull teeth. It's not going to happen.
Now that was part of the statistic because it says a lot of the empty nesters, quote unquote, are over 55, and they're the ones that choose not to downgrade because they already got a low interest rate. So why would I sell my house to go pay more interest and downsize? So they're keeping their homes. Hey,
What about the
Godiva.
one point?
Godiva says, I remember those days and how I missed them. Kat said they lived on in Inglewood, 66 and Walcott.
My bad, my bad. The hood.
Yes, she was in the hood up to no good. So those days, I hope I don't want to say what's that song? Happy days are here again. I really want things to level out at least. I want wages to equal,
They never did.
housing rates
No,
because they really say it
they,
again.
they never did. So think about this. If you look at the level of home ownership, it was higher then, but even home ownership back then was in the 30 to 40%, right? Because again, home ownership could be done by one singular person working, and
Yeah.
then we went to the nuclear family of two people starting to work. So now as we progress, even now, you have to have two incomes to even consider to even get a mortgage, right? Because if you look at a decent home and whatever we consider decent depends on what part of the town you're in. I mean, you're still looking at somewhere in between $250,000 to $300,000, and so the amount of income that it's going to take. Now, mind you, if you're renting, it's the same equivalency. They just make sure that you're not in the system that you can afford the down payment to go ahead and afford the home that you want.
But now, even when you're trying to get an apartment, it amazes me because and I've heard these stories when I was working, I can't save money to get an apartment because they want 3 months, like first month, last month, and a deposit. If the rent is $1,800, you need $5,000 to move in.
Yep.
And I can't save money because now I still need to stay where I'm at, pay that rent, plus gas, plus buy groceries, plus do this, plus do that. Then they tried to hit us with especially when I bought my house, why live in an apartment when you can get a home for the same amount or even less? Now, granted, during that time, I was like, yeah, the lady who I was renting from or whatever, they did that California thing where people were coming here buying homes on arms and refinancing and stuff like that. But then the market crashed. So I got a great deal on my home. Don't get me wrong, because a lot of homes were foreclosed on. So a lot of people were saying, short sale, whatever the bank will take, I'm taking it and I'm going. They had other places to go to where they was just like, I'm moving back to Texas, because that's how I got this home. I'm moving back to Texas. I'm just going back to Chicago because they would have more of a support system.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Yeah, if that makes sense. Because you thinking you're doing something good where we're moving on up. I'm moving out. I'm going to make it, blah, blah, blah. And they don't. Now, granted, thank you, Jesus. Don't get me wrong. When I left Chicago, I was very, 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 very blessed to have a pension, pulled from my pension, had sold my house. So I had a nice little chunk of change when I moved out here to sustain me until I gained employment, until I was able to do whatever it is I needed to do. And I was surely guided by a higher power. But a lot of us are just saying, I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to, and I don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul. Let me say that. So a lot of them are really just trying to make it when you have those dreams, hey, my kids is gone. We don't need this big old house. Let's just downsize and live out the rest of our lives.
Right.
That's not happening now. Now it's like, where we going to go? Because there is nowhere else to go, because the house we live in, if we try to buy another one, it's just as much as the one I'm living in. So why move?
Right.
Why even do that? So I'm totally understanding when it comes to empty nesting. Godiva says, shoot, income requirements, 3 times the rent plus the application fee and holding fee. Now, wait a minute. Here in the state of Nevada, we have a person, everyone's coach. She's a member of our lounge. She is an advocate, and she knows all the. She goes down to the state senate and all that and advocates for us. For when I say us, I mean Nevadans. She now tells you they in the state of Nevada they cannot keep your application fee if you do not get the apartment.
Yep.
So if they tell you it's a $50 application fee, they take your $50. If they don't give you that apartment, they have to give you your $50 back.
Yep.
So that's something that we learn. I learned a lot from her. So I learned that because she went down there and, you know, she advocates for a lot of stuff to go on because she understands living in Nevada. She's one of the born and raised and been here all her life, and her people are prominent. But she also has a 21-year-old. And he is out on his own, but may need to come back. You know, things like that. We do nowadays have to just say, okay, come on.
Can't tell them they no.
It's hard out there. We're more understanding. I think then when we were coming up, we could say, oh no, I'll just go get another job. I'll just do such and such because jobs were paying and stuff like that. But nowadays, nobody's hiring. You can't get a second job unless you plan on never coming home. Because if once you go to one job, try to do that other job, in order for you to make ends meet, you got to work 8, 10, 12 hours at this second job. So where does your health and your sleep come in? So it's just, it really behooves me. Even when we talk about empty nesting, I can't even be mad nowadays. I'm just like, girl, just get you a job and you can help pay the mortgage here. Because you going to give somebody else, you know, $1,800 to live in an apartment. And granted, you have your freedom to do everything, but can you make it? Are you able to feed my 2 grandkids? Are you able to save? Are you able to, you got to get a car? Things like that. It doesn't balance out to me. And like I said, sometimes, y'all, I just think it's the simplest things that we can use to solve, and we'll be all right. But I don't think everybody think like that. Godiva says, well, that might have changed. I'm glad. But one of the reasons I left property management. Yeah, understood. Kat says, no one is paying. No, they're not. I remember we used to get a raise every year. Automatically. Remember them AT&T days, girl, Kat? We used to, I can't wait till such and such. Because we was getting a raise. We had something to look forward to on our job. We were excited to get that raise. Hey, Sebastian. But now things are different. Now, Sebastian, you in here too. I know you're now an empty nester, but you're also doing something that I commend you for. It's taking care of your sister and her son. And that's definitely understandable. Because on this episode of Conversation with Cookie B, we're talking about empty nesters. Now, just got one last week. Oh, go ahead on. What, Kat, I don't know. Kat, you've been there 38 years. I don't know why you still working, but that's okay. That's okay. I know you told me when you leave that job, you are not going to work another job. So that's good. Yeah, you got baby birds. That's what you call them, Sebastian, baby birds. Now, this topic that we're talking about, empty nesting, because Will said, I got questions. He has questions because even though his children, Will, your picture went out.
I know. Give me a second.
Oh, no. Okay. So Will's doing something. That's okay. His screen is just red because he's doing something. That's all right. We'll need to see what he's doing. But when it comes to that, empty nesting, yes. Kat, you've been on that job. I was close. 37 years. 37 years. You was one of them people, you know, when we worked at Dorchester, we'd be like this. If she don't go on and retire somewhere, because we wanted to make room for somebody else to come on in and work with us. And those were times when we enjoyed going to work. And we was like, yeah, we're going to make a living. But when it comes to, like we're talking about empty nesting, there was always a time where I never wanted to go back. And the reason why I never wanted to go back home is because of my freedom. I enjoyed my freedom. I enjoyed being able to come and go when I wanted to, not nobody telling me when I got to get in, blah, blah, blah. As y'all know, my daddy was in them streets too. So there's been times when I was out and I'm like, 10, or somebody, there go my daddy. We had Chick Ricks, I'm like, there go my daddy sitting in the millionaire's room. Like, we're laughing and joking, but still, you know, he like, oh, don't tell your mama. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. But then too,
That's a daddy's
When
girl. That is a daddy's girl. We're not going to skip past that. That is a daddy's girl.
I was a daddy's girl. But then too, it came a point when I told you guys before, my dad fell 30 feet to the concrete. When I got prepared to move to Las Vegas in 2005, I sold my home. So where was I going to go? Until it was time for me to leave. I went back to my parents' house. When my father fell 30 feet to the concrete, where did I go? I went on back to my parents' house because now I'm helping my mom with my dad who has a brain injury. So sometimes divine timing can send you back home, but I had somewhere to go. I had somewhere to go, especially when my mom was just like, girl, don't come up in here. No, 1 o'clock. Tammy, we stayed out all night. Well, Trina ain't even on here. We be looking up and we at the Paragon on 95th Street because we didn't left the club and we had breakfast and we looking like it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Girl, I got to be at work at 8. We had some times.
But time
Yes,
was
we had some
different
times.
back then. Time was
It
different back
was.
then. For
It
one,
was.
honestly, either you were a streetlight kid when the streetlights came on, you had to be in the house. But it's funny watching it now because my kids would ask me about it. Was like, is this a thing? It was. There was a commercial that came on at 10 o'clock that said, "It is 10 o'clock. Do you know where your child is?"
I remember that.
And it was the truth. Like we were out there, right? But your mama could just call out there and yell at you when you were little, right?
We
But
didn't
when you
have
got
pages.
older,
We didn't have phones. She
none of
just
that.
came to the front door.
None of that. Right. And look, you better be in ear distance. And then you got one warning when she called you. The second warning was like she'll say, "Has anybody seen and your name?" And then your friends knew, oh yeah, he around the corner or he at the park playing back, something. But you was gonna get in trouble if you know you're supposed to be home. And then eventually you was a streetlight kid and they started doing curfews and stuff like that. But you know how Chicago was. It was like everybody was in the same spots all the time.
All the time. All the time. Wait, Jay says, so are you ready to answer to someone? Jay, you gonna leave me alone? Yes, I am. I'm ready to answer. If he said, baby, where you going? I'm like, I'm going to get my nails done. Baby, where you going? I'm going to have a smoke. You care to join me? If he said, you ain't got to go, we going to go in the backyard. I'm going to take my shoes off and hit the backyard and pour him a drink. Jay, stay off of me.
Jay, that's all talk, Jay. We gotta
No,
see.
it ain't.
We gotta look, Missouri on that one. This is a show me state. You gotta show me. Like I don't know.
Until you will
I
never
don't know.
know until they show up.
I don't
If
know.
you look up, my girlfriend Coco will tell you this. If you look up and they say, we ain't seen Cookie in a couple of weeks. Now, the last time I disappeared, I had some issues going on where I was going through menopause. I was going through depression. That was different. If you look up and you be like, we ain't seen Cookie in a couple of weeks and I'm only there to sell cakes and I'm gone. He may say, baby, you ain't got to sell cakes. How many you make? How many would you make? Here's that money. Come on in the room.
So all right, now I'm gonna dip into reality. First of all, the 100 men that have to fall from the sky and go through all the cookie filters
We're
to,
not gonna
to,
go into
to be the
this.
selected chosen one, right? That in my mind, after he's 6'2" or 6'3" or better, he has to be of a certain demeanor. He has to be of a certain attitude. Apparently, he has to cook with spices because, yeah, that's a whole nother story. Um,
Why
he,
do you make this? No. Why do you make this sound difficult than it is? It's not that difficult. It is not that difficult. Jay said the commercial got me beat up sneaking back into the house. They was waiting on me after they saw the commercial and went to check my empty room.
that commercial was telling on a lot of people. You know where your
Now,
child is?
let me tell you something. Sebastian says, don't be by yourself too long because that masculine energy creeps in. Sebastian, I've been in my masculine energy for the longest. I'm paying every single bill in this household. I'm tired. But don't let Will talk. It's not that serious. All
It,
I
no,
need is
Cookie.
a good man. He can make me laugh. We can conversate. It's the little things. Don't
Uh,
let me don't
he
fall into
gotta be.
Will's
He
trap.
gotta
It's
be
not that
six what?
difficult.
He gotta be six what?
I just said I like tall men. So you as long I'm 5'9", so you could be 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", maybe not 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". I'm good. I'm good. I just
And,
like tall men.
and
I
what
just like
percent? I'm
tall
sorry.
men.
What percentage of the population of black men are 6'2"?
Wait a minute. Now, me and my daughter watched this show the other day.
Uh huh.
Every man over there in the UK, I may have to give me a foreigner, they was 6'4" and up. So
That's not
don't
true.
come to me
No,
with them
no,
statistics
no,
about,
no, no.
cause now what show was we watching? And every man on there was, I said, look at these. I may have to go a little younger though.
Well, I
Shoot,
could
I may
take you to
have
a
to go a little
basketball
younger.
tryout for people trying to make the team, and I guarantee the average height they're going to be 6'4". So if you want to put us in the same group, we could do that. But what I'm saying is, walking around our same hole in the wall, I know a lot of people. I'm looking down, shaking their hands, and I'm a solid, real 6'1". I'm just saying,
No. Kat says, so not 5'10"? No, Kat.
absolutely not, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And
I'm not even,
she
no.
looks down on them.
No, I have on heels and I'm gonna be looking down to my hey there. No, I like height is the attraction to me. And Kat, how you gonna put that in there? Says the woman who, Kat, you what, 5'5", and Al is 6'3"? Really?
Everybody a giant to her.
Everybody is a giant. You're right. But you said you do realize that tall men are not normal. That's right. Like
Thank
when
you,
they say you
thank
want
you.
to test, when they say you want to throw it out there and test God, yes, I'm asking him to do exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever ask for or think. So he will be tall. He will be. That's my heart's desire. I just like attract. The attraction is we talking about empty nesters. Why y'all on me again? Don't let Will get y'all.
I
Don't
just
let Will
asked.
get y'all in trouble
You
again.
said I didn't start it. Somebody asked the question. Was like, "Are
No.
you ready to answer to somebody?"
Yes,
And I'm
Jay.
yes. She gonna
Jay.
look up at him and say, "Yes, I am."
You're right. I'm sure it's gonna be big, big. Where we going? What we doing? And I'm gonna have them. What? Can't say no. 5'1.5". Yeah, who can't say my man is 6'4"? Yeah, he is. Now, Cat, me standing next to Al when we went to breakfast. That is not that tall when I'm standing next to him. When you looking, they don't get it. They don't get the vision that I see. But that's okay because when I tell you. When y'all see him, y'all gonna be excited just like I am. Nah, short ain't normal. Thank you, Sebastian. They just ain't explored
No,
the world like
short
we have.
is norm. No, short is norm. It's what. First of all, what do you consider short? And anything under 6 feet is considered short to me. The normal
But
height, the average height of an American man is only 5'8". Let's keep it a buck. It's 5'8". Go Google it. You got the computer in front of you. Look it up. The average height.
I'm gonna look it up. Well, that just like they say, the average these chicks on Fashion Nova will be talking about. Oh, these are for tall girls. I'm 5'7". Tall is not. That's don't get me started.
That's
Don't get
snack
me started.
size. That's snack size. I get it.
It is. What is the average? Hold on, let me use this voice thing. Hold on, let me use that. What is the average height of men in the United States? So roughly 160 million men in the United States are making up 49.1%. It didn't give me the average height. It just says men in the United States. I said average height. What is the average height of men in the United States? And it's saying fight. What is the average height of men in the United States? There we go. 5'9". The average height of adult men in the United States is approximately 5'9". 5'9".
That's the
Can
average
I?
height. So
The
if
average
that's
height is 5'9".
got it.
Men. Now wait a minute. Kanai says if 31 inches is your inseam, you ain't tall. You're right. We need 34, 35 inches. My daughter 5'9.5". So we know. We know. Sebastian says 6'3" and up, 5'7" for white dudes. Sebastian, the black man is 6'3" and up. The white man is 5'7" for what? Yeah. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Now I'm gonna ask again. What is the average height of a black man in the United States?
It's gonna be 5'10".
Five foot 9.1 inches.
Oh, well, some of us are blessed with height. It's okay.
Yes. A cat says Sherry Shepherd turned down a short man for her now ex-husband, and we know how he did her. Well, that says a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and end on that conversation. Well, this is And Sherry Shepherd is short. Sherry Shepherd is short. And just like Kevin Hart, no, he's short. His wife is way taller than him. We already know that. But that's okay. Sometimes it's okay for a man to do it. It's not okay for a woman. Not this woman. I'm gonna end on that. Not this woman. I'm not doing it. Y'all, this 5:59. I surely do want to thank you guys for
I gotta
tuning
say this.
in.
I gotta say this, Cookie. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
And you know I'm gonna pray for you, but it's gonna feel a little odd when I'm like, Jesus, can you find somebody 6'2" or better for, that's asking a lot, but I'm gonna do it for you. I'm
No,
gonna
this is
do it
what
for you.
you no. Let me tell you how to pray for me. Lord, can you give her heart's desire? That's all you have to say.
I,
I'll take care of the rest.
I'm gonna
Lord,
say,
can
I'm
you
gonna
give
say,
her?
Lord, can you give her the person that she deserves, that you have gifted for her,
And her heart's desire.
and her heart's desire at any
Yeah.
height? I got you.
No. He got money. No, ooh, wait, Sherry said that man dogs walked her. See? That's what happened. And not that thank y'all for tuning in to conversation. Y'all got me tripping now. This conversation, empty nesters turned into y'all, you know what? Y'all gonna find me a man. I ain't even gonna say nothing. Go ahead and find him for me. Y'all gonna find him for me. Let him be God-fearing, spiritual, whatever he gonna be. We gonna end the show on that. I surely do want to thank y'all for
And
tuning in to this
5'5".
episode at Conversations. Will, I'm not gonna throw my middle finger up on the TV, on the camera. I'm not gonna
I love it.
I'm not going to do that. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Conversations with Cookie B. Thank you once again, my nemesis, Will, for chiming in. We talked about empty nesting. We talked about relationships. Namely, y'all trying to find me one, and that's okay. I thank you guys for your input. I want you to have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Can't wait to talk to you on Tuesday. Can't wait to tell y'all about my weekend because I'm sure we got some out-of-towners here. Yeah. Calvin, thank you. Thank you again for sharing your story. I will see you guys on Tuesday for another interesting and exciting episode of Conversations with Cookie B. See y'all Tuesday. Thank you, Will. More.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Talk to you on Tuesday.